Oklahoma Gardening is a production of the Oklahoma Cooperative Extension Service as part of the land grant mission of the Division of Agricultural Sciences and Natural Resources at Oklahoma State University, dedicated to improving the quality of life of the citizens of Oklahoma through research-based information. Underwriting assistance is provided by TLC, Oklahoma's leading garden center, Southwood Landscape and Garden Center, Tulsa's source for great gardens, southwoodgardencenter.com. and the Oklahoma Department of Agriculture, Food, and Forestry, helping to keep Oklahoma green and growing. Welcome to Oklahoma Gardening. On today's show, we will be revisiting some of our favorite stops on our tour of Southeast Oklahoma. We pick blueberries at Creekside Berry Farm, look at aquaponic systems at 360 Farms and at Eastern Oklahoma State College. And we visit an elderberry variety trial at the Kerr Center for Sustainable Agriculture.
We are here at Creekside Berry Farm outside of LaFleur, Oklahoma, and joining me is Sam Engel, and it's just beautiful what you have here, your blueberry bushes.
Thank you. Can
you kind of talk about the different varieties that you have and the fruit that comes off of them?
Okay, I have 6 varieties at least. About the only difference is the texture of the berry, and some of them are more juicy than the others.
Yeah, it's been fun trying to taste the different ones.
Yeah.
One of mine was over there on the other row. What was the variety that was?
That's an Ozark Blue.
Ozark Blue, but you had a little bit of problems with the actual consistency of the growth on that one.
Yeah, the plants are not consistent in their growth. They just don't grow out like the other varieties.
But it has an amazing flavor.
Yeah.
But the nice thing about, diversifying the varieties that you have, they may only produce for a couple of weeks, but you're going to be probably harvesting the whole lot till August?
Could be to the 1st of August, yeah, on the real late berries.
Excellent, yeah. Excellent. So tell me about how you have to alter the pH here with blueberries.
Okay, I fertilize with ammonium sulfate and add sulfur occasionally to keep the pH between 5 and 5.5.
Uh-huh.
And you have to do that because one, the rain will dilute the sulfur and acidity out of the soil.
Mm-hmm.
And so you add sulfur.
And you have a pretty good irrigation system that's gravity fed?
Yeah, I've got a 20-foot drop from the pond to the berry patch.
Uh-huh.
And I just hook up the water lines and let them run about an hour each direction, and it's sufficient for each week.
And how many plants do you have here about?
A little over, about 350.
So do you get some help when it comes to picking time?
Me, myself, and I, and occasionally, we do get quite a few people coming in to help us pick. We sell by the bucket, and people seem to enjoy it.
Very good. So where do you sell your produce?
At Wilburton, at the farmers market,
mm-hmm.
at Tallahena, at the Indian Hospital, their wellness center.
Okay. And you mentioned you fertilize with sawdust. Is that a local product that you get from around here? Or?
I get it from a sawmill north of Tallahena. They only cut hardwoods, and so that seems to work better.
Okay.
You don't have to wait on pine to decompose further.
Right.
And
it's pretty neat that a local byproduct here is being used in your garden.
Oh, yeah.
And you have quite
it's cheap.
It's good that way. And you also have quite a vegetable garden over there that we're going to take a look at a little bit. But you're growing some blackberries also.
Right.
And you've got some that are actually producing on the primo cane on the blackberries.
Yeah, just that's a new variety that I'm trying.
Uh-huh.
And we'll see how it goes with them.
Okay, so any last advice for somebody who's getting into growing blueberries? Do you have any suggestions?
Well, you need to be sure and elevate the rows so the roots don't stand in water. The first year you put them out, don't fertilize them. Let them kind of get established before you start hitting them with fertilizer. And mulch them 3 to 4 inches of good mulch, a couple of feet out in diameter around the plant. And you should be good to go. Just give it that inch equivalent of water a week.
So they're enjoying the southeastern rainfall that you get down here.
Yeah, we have.
All right, can I help you pick some?
You bet.
Excellent. I'm with Brent Matting. He is the owner of 360 Farms. And Brent, your farm is cited as an agritourism place. Can you kind of tell us about 360 Farms?
Well, I sure can. 360 Farms came about when my life became full circle. I grew up here and we were actually looking for something to do, and elderberries kind of fell in my lap. It was kind of a no-brainer for me after a little bit of research.
And elderberry is a native plant that grows around here.
Yes, it is. There's a lot of exciting things going on with elderberries. There's been a lot of research done out of state, and they've actually found that some of the absolute best varieties of native elderberries originate right here in eastern Oklahoma.
So why not take advantage of that?
Absolutely.
Now you don't just grow elderberries, you grow some other things as well.
That's right. Elderberries is our main crop, but we actually some years ago decided to start producing our own products here at the farm. And in turn, we use an aquaponics greenhouse to seasonally grow herbs that go into a lot of our different products. Aquaponics is one of those things that our middle child, our oldest son, was doing simply because he needed to start eating healthier.
Okay, and he's up in the greenhouse, so I'm going to go meet with him and talk more about the aquaponics system. Thank you.
Sounds good.
Hi, Zach.
Hello, Casey.
Nice to meet you. I hear that you are the inventor or helped with this system.
I designed and provided most of the labor in this installation, yeah.
We've got a lot of different herbs right here that you use for products that you make, but tell me how these plants grow. I mean, they're just growing in rock here, it looks like, but there's actually water that comes into this.
Absolutely. We use local river gravel to fill these tubs, and it, for the most part, just provides a physical substrate to hold the plants upright. The nutrient actually comes from the fish waste. Fish waste is pumped through these tubes. It's dispersed throughout the gravel, and the plants are able to take up what nutrients they need. They clean the water so that the fish can live in a healthy environment, and the fish provide the nutrients so the plants can be healthy.
So it's a symbiotic relationship, and we've got the water that's coming in right here into each one of these tanks.
Absolutely.
And then it's got a valve on it, or can you kind of explain so these don't overflow?
Absolutely. You'll see here with the soft flexible line, there's a continuous flow of water, 24 hours a day, that's flowing in. In the center is what we call a bell siphon. This is a technology commonly used in sewage drain fields and other agricultural processes. But the bell siphon has no moving parts. It simply triggers when the water level reaches a certain height, and it drains rapidly into the tank below. So with no moving parts, we're able to provide continuous flowing water and a variable water height so that the roots aren't constantly submerged, but they do stay wet and are able to provide the nutrients that's in the water.
And because of that, you actually have the red wiggler worms in here, so you've got some vermicomposting going on too.
Absolutely. Rather than trying to keep up with cleaning the gravel, we just allow nature to do what nature does. We modeled this system after river systems that exist in most forests and mountain ranges. So with the constantly flowing water and the worms processing the fish waste, a lot of the micronutrients and bioavailable compounds that benefit plants are present in the system without us going outside to bring in synthetic nutrients.
Right. So we've got several tanks here.
There are 75 growing beds here.
Okay. All right. So where are the fish?
The fish are below. We would call this the sump.
Okay.
There are several hundred koi throughout the system. We have 5 rows of grow beds, each stacked over a sump. The koi we got is just small fingerlings from a local koi farmer.
They're doing well.
They do. They thrive well. The water stays well oxygenated because of the constantly flowing water, just like it would in a rapidly flowing river. And you know, we feed them regularly, and they have everything that they need.
So you're growing year-round in here. I mean, it's hot in here. We're both sweaty.
Absolutely.
So how are these plants doing? You've got a few fans in here, but you don't provide any sort of cooling or heat in the wintertime.
Absolutely. Well, this system was designed to be as low maintenance as possible. That means keeping the systems as simple as possible. So when we dug these sumps, we dug a couple of feet down into the earth. Most of the water volume is actually contained below the level of the soil. That means that the water closely matches the temperature of the surrounding ground at all times. So in this case, in the winter, our water rarely dips below 55 degrees. In the summer, it rarely gets above 80 degrees. And 55 to 80 degrees is a tolerable range for the root zone in most plants. The growth cycle of plants is typically triggered by the temperature of the root zone more so than the temperature of the leaves. And in nature, the leaves are tolerate variable temperatures better because of changing sunlight conditions and that sort of thing. But if you can keep the roots at a nice steady temperature, they'll grow year-round, and that's what this system does for us by being tied to the thermal effect of the deeper earth. We don't cool or heat our water, and we're able to produce year-round.
So it seems like a very efficient system that you have here. And are you able to grow pretty much anything you would grow outside?
We really haven't found any plants that just fail to produce. Definitely some plants do better in an aquaponic system than others. Root crops can be a little bit of a challenge because they grow in the gravel rather than in soil like they traditionally would. But we have grown several root crops well. Our carrots come out absolutely delicious, and radishes are a favorite as well. The best plants for these types of systems are what you would call an herbaceous plant. That means they primarily produce leafy greens. Plants that need to flower do respond better with a little more climate control than we have in here. But seasonally we can move flowering plants through the greenhouse. Year-round we can produce the herbaceous plants as quickly as we can keep up with them.
All right, so the fish are feeding the plants. Can I feed the fish?
Absolutely. Let them come say hi.
Perfect. We are here at Eastern Oklahoma State College, and we are looking at another aquaponic system that Symbiotic Aquaponics has installed. And joining me is Caven Smallwood. And Caven, this is actually your second model after the version you installed at Kiowa.
Yeah, Kiowa provided us the opportunity to do our proof of concept. We were fortunate enough that Eastern Oklahoma State College took notice of what was happening at Kiowa and commissioned us to come install the system that you see here.
And so what's kind of different about this system versus what we saw at Kiowa?
The system here is used for a lot of educational purposes. It also gave us a great partner in Eastern Oklahoma State College that we were able to flesh out some aquaponic curriculum and take this application that's used here and shoot it over to the classroom. This came about through a partnership with our business and Eastern Oklahoma State College's horticulture department. So we provided the technology, but they helped fill in with the curriculum and the teaching of the subject matter.
Okay, excellent. So what did you change here, and is this the final setup?
No, we've made a couple of changes from this system and Kiowa, but really we've had another evolution, and I'll show you a little bit about that here in a bit. But this system, for example, rather than using cow feed troughs, which were a little bit shorter and stacked on cinder blocks, we went ahead and used horse feed troughs, which raised the beds naturally up to waist level. We also integrated a pump and filter system to this system, which helped us control our biological surface area and also helped us have a spot to raise beneficial bacteria, which is really key to the aquaponic process.
Okay, all right. And so now you have a third version of this that we're going to go look at here in a minute, but what were some of the things that you started seeing that you needed to tweak on this?
Well, a couple of things, just like with any construction project, you learn from doing.
Right.
One thing that we did differently is these beds were 10 foot long by about 2 foot wide. They provided 20 square foot of grow space, but it was in a different shape than what we thought could best serve aquaponic purposes.
Okay.
So rather than having a rectangle, our grow beds now are more of a square. They're actually 20 square foot, but 4 by 5 feet. Also, the bell siphon we had placed down at the end of the grow bed. This is what naturally drains the beds and sends the water back to the fish tank. We noticed through some studies and through some observations that plants towards the end of the system weren't growing at as quick of rate as plants that were in the front of the beds. We hypothesized that nutrients were getting stripped as the water was going down from the beds. So rather than have the siphons at the end, our beds have been prefabricated to have the siphons in the middle. This will allow water to fill evenly throughout the bed while it drains.
Okay, and you're actually just directly seeding a lot of your different crops in here.
Yeah, if you look right here, you'll actually see a great example. These are tomato plants that the school uses for fundraisers. What they do is they take a small area of the system, sow the seed directly into the system, and then cover it up. We found that germination rates and propagation rates in this aquaponic system are far superior to that of soil. The school then takes the plants out of the system and then puts them over in pots or 6-packs that can then be sold back into the community as a fundraiser for the school, but also to help address local food security issues and try to introduce a sustainable form of agriculture back into the community.
Okay, all right, well, let's go take a look at that new system you've got.
All right, excellent.
Wow, Kevin, it looks like you've really increased your production here.
Yeah, we were provided a great opportunity here in a partnership with the school. What we've got set up here are a couple of different things. We're actually still waiting on our large-scale fish tanks that will be positioned in this general location.
And that will go to feed all of those?
Right, the tanks that will be here will be about 1,250 gallons each, and they'll provide enough water that will be able to fill each one of these grow beds that you see here.
Okay.
So this operation is a very large-scale operation compared to what we had next door.
Right, and so, I mean, this is a lot of investment here. How did this come to be?
There's a particular grant through the USDA that's called a Rural Economic Development Grant. The focus of that grant is to have educational institutions pair with new and emerging businesses. In this situation, Eastern filled the role of the educational institution, and Symbiotic Aquaponic played the role of the emerging business. What we had to do was come and work together to figure out a way that we could use this technology to benefit the local economy. So through some brainstorming with the Academic Advancement Office and our business, we determined that doing an aquaponic incubator would be a great way to go. We're hoping to debut the project the first part of next year, which would be January of 2017. We're still working on the final details, but the way it would essentially work is a farmer could come in and rent grow space from us for a 90-day period. During that time, they'll be receiving in-classroom instruction as well as practical application through hands-on experiences.
Okay, and you said you would even help with getting their business off the ground too.
That's a part of it. It's a fully functional, full-service class.
Okay, so this is a large-scale production space here, and this is your filter that's being built, but this is a model of this new system.
Exactly. So the differences in these systems and what you saw over there, we highlighted a little bit earlier, but with our new design, it all started with the grow bed that my brother Shelby designed. We like to say we're changing agriculture 20 square foot at a time.
Okay, so we've got about 20 square feet of planting area here, 40 if you have two. How many fish can we have in this tank here?
Well, this fish tank here is a 200-gallon tank. What the watchers need to understand is that it's not just the water that's in the fish tank that determines how many fish you can raise. It's the overall water in the system.
Okay.
So this tank is also paired with a 130-gallon sump tank, which gives individuals closer to 330, 350 gallons of water. What we do is we look at stocking densities. So the pounds of fish per gallons of water. In this system, you would be hard-pressed to raise less than 30 to 50 pounds of edible protein with the system on top of the vegetables, but an experienced aquaculturalist can get up to 200 pounds per harvest.
Wow, that's a lot of food that can come out of this system right here.
It is.
So where can people go to get more information about this program?
For more educational opportunities, we direct people to Eastern's website. That's www.eosc.edu/aquaponics. If you want more information about the system itself, you can always reach out to us on our website or at our email info@symbioticaquaponic.com.
Excellent. Well, thank you for sharing this information with us.
Hey, thank you all for having us.
We're here at the Kerr Center, and David, you guys are doing some research on another native, the elderberry.
Yes, the elderberry is a plant that's native to Oklahoma. It's used as a processing fruit, or the flowers can be used in teas.
Okay.
There's a lot of work being done now on the potential for this crop. A lot of the work's being done in Missouri, but a lot of the genetic stock actually originated in Oklahoma. So a lot of the stuff you can buy, the varieties, originated genetically from Oklahoma stock.
Okay, all right.
Now, the variety here I'm looking at is Adams. That is one of the original varieties, but that came out of New York State.
Okay.
So it's a northeastern variety, and here we have the nice elderberry flower on here. And we can see the berries getting ready in a ripened cluster right here. And as we move on down, we move into other varieties that were selected from Oklahoma stock.
Well, what are you looking for when you're selecting an elderberry?
Well, it depends on your use for it. If you're going to be processing juice for production in either juice, wines, there's some interest in using it as a natural food dye. You're looking for even ripening in those cases. You're looking for clusters that actually turn down, because it seems like the birds love elderberries.
Right.
And this keeps them from harvesting the fruit if the fruit clusters droop down.
Okay.
And
So this one's drooping, but we still have uneven ripening here.
Yes.
And this variety is which one here?
Bob Gordon.
This is Bob Gordon. So you can definitely see that this one droops more than the other one. But
Yes, and those are the aspects, characteristics we're looking at and trying to see, as opposed, and also yield is an issue too. But you also want to consider that. Now, if I were harvesting this for personal use, I might want one that has more uneven ripening in terms of this cluster won't ripen, but that one would. So I can have harvesting over several weeks because I'm personally processing it. But for commercial production, we like that even harvest, even ripening for harvesting.
Okay, and when we're talking about harvesting, it's critical to mention that at this point, the only way to really harvest is by hand.
Yes. Yes, we can process them with commercial processing equipment, but when it comes to harvesting, this is all a hand harvested crop.
Okay.
So there's a lot of labor involved in it at this point. It would be nice to develop a commercial harvester that could harvest these. There are commercial blueberry harvesters, but it would be nice to have a harvester that would harvest these berries commercially, and that would take the labor out of it and really boost the potential for the crop.
Okay, we've got a beautiful one here, and this one is actually selected from here in Oklahoma, correct?
Yes, this variety is called Ranch.
And it's a beautiful one, and I've heard homeowners are using it more ornamentally because it looks so nice.
Yeah, and if you'll notice, it has that kind of light feathery foliage to it, and the berry clusters are all ripening evenly, they're all drooping down, so it has a lot of those characteristics we're looking for in a very healthy plant.
Yeah, the branches aren't drooping, so it doesn't look like it's needing water or anything, just the fruit's actually drooping.
Yes, and that is the nice aspect of this variety. So these are some of the characteristics, and of course, being a new crop that's really getting looked at, there's going to be more breeding work done on it in the future, and we're also trying to identify what are the characteristics, because realize this is a processing plant, but it's also being looked at for its nutraceutical potential. This has one of the highest antioxidant contents of any native berry out there. So, and that's what everybody's heard about. If you haven't,
That's why
I can't believe, yes.
That's why they're chasing the blueberry.
Yeah, the
but now we
blueberry and
have
the blackberry
another
for the antioxidant
Yeah.
content. Well, this one ranks higher than those.
one. Right.
But again, it's not a fresh eating berry. This is one you process. So, and that's the aspect of it that we have to get past, is that we're harvesting this, processing it, and then putting it out there on the market.
Okay, well, great. And I know OSU, we have a fact sheet on growing elderberries.
Yes.
Do you guys also have information on your website? Or
No,
links?
but we have some links to elderberry research that's being done in Missouri, and Missouri has a lot of fact sheets on elderberry production. There's also some work being done on processing of the elderberry to find out what the best way to process it is. There's a production grower in Missouri that is actually selling elderberry juice commercially. So if anybody wants to try it, they can order it online. And then in Oklahoma, we have 360 Farms, which is doing teas, herbal teas from elderberries using the flowers, and that's another aspect of the production system. There's a lot of ways to use this crop.
Fantastic. Thank you for sharing with us.
There are lots of great horticultural events this time of year. Be sure and consider these activities when you're making your plans for the weeks ahead. Next week on Oklahoma Gardening, we'll explore the keys to keyhole gardening with information on what they are, how to build one, and we'll visit a couple of unique keyhole gardens that some Tulsa County master gardeners have built. So join us then for more TV you'll grow to love. To find out more information about show topics, as well as recipes, videos, articles, fact sheets, and other resources, including a directory of local extension offices, be sure and visit our website, oklahomagardening.okstate.edu. We hope you enjoyed this video. It's part of our Oklahoma Gardening YouTube channel. You can also find even more videos on our OK Gardening Classics YouTube channel. And join us on social media for great gardening tips, photos, and discussion.